Hello everyone, and today with me I have head men's basketball coach Joe Krupinski. Joe, how are you?
Great, Dylan.
Good. So I know a little bit about you, but most of the Midway viewers they don't know Joe Krupinski. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, there's not a ton to tell. I'm from the Northeast originally. Coached up in New England for quite a while. Went to Springfield College in Massachusetts. Coached there. Coached at a few other places in Vermont. I was in Vermont for 13 years. Was a head coach at Linden State for 6, which is an NCAA Division III program. And then took a year back as an assistant at American International College back in Massachusetts before coming down to St. Catharines. My first foray into Kentucky last year, and now obviously with the circumstances over here at Midway this year for our first ever team, and so it's really exciting. But it's great to be in an area like this where it's a great environment and a great place to live, and obviously a place that cares about basketball. So that's exciting.
Yes, it is. The Bluegrass is big on basketball. They don't know Midway yet, but they will soon. Talk a little bit about me and you both. We came from St. Catharines College. Talk about that process of hearing St. Catharines Closing, and then it's like 2 days later you're coming to Midway.
Yeah, it was really, as I've been saying all along, I think a year from now it's going to be a great story. At the time it was certainly pretty jarring. I think we were obviously facing some issues there, but you never expect anything like that to happen. I just don't think that's something you prepare yourself for necessarily. When it happened, obviously it was really difficult with our guys. There was a lot of confusion, I think. We had graduated a lot of good players, but we had enough coming back, and a lot of new guys committed that it was going to be, it was definitely a shock to their system and all of us. But obviously the opportunity at Midway we were very fortunate in that it came along very quickly. We could kind of make that transition almost the day of the announcement. We were starting, to get the wheels in motion. So, it was certainly quite a summer getting everybody up here and enrolled here and accepted here and getting our program off the ground, in a really short span, not only with basketball, but fitting the other sports in, with soccer and baseball and golf. But everybody here was really great about it, really supportive, and I think it was a win-win for all of us. We get to move on to a nice place and kind of stay intact for the most part, while Midway gets to grow and become a more vibrant institution. So I think it was, like I said, it was a lot of work and a lot of struggle at the time, but certainly, I think it's paid off.
Good. Talk about the team. Obviously, you graduated 4 seniors last year, 5 actually. Excuse me. One of them was ineligible for a second semester, but anyway, you graduated 4 seniors, and 2 of them are actually playing overseas now, playing pro ball. So that's tough. That's going to be tough to replace that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we were going to be a different, whatever campus we were on this year, we were going to be a different team. For sure. We graduated our 3 top scorers, like you said, and rebounders. I mean, they were a big part of what we did. They played most of the game. I mean, we had, Bryson Harris is a returning player who started the second half of the year. Tyler Smothers, had a significant role last year. And those are 2 older guys on the roster, but. A couple other guys, David Jump and Jerry Milligan, were played some time last year, so some limited minutes off the bench. But beyond that, we have a few redshirt guys, but it's really a whole new team. So it was going to be a new team anyway. I mean, this kind of accelerated that process, and we've kind of taken the first few weeks here to try to figure out our identity and what we're going to be and how we're going to do things. I mean, I think there was obviously some continuity with those guys returning coming over, so they had an idea of what we expect. But most of a lot of guys we're going to count on are freshmen, guys that have not been a part of college basketball before, and that's always difficult regardless of where you are. So there's a lot of question marks, and we're going to see how it goes.
Okay, good. So obviously, just looking at your roster, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 freshmen who have not played they played high school, but high school does not compare to the college level. It's a totally different ballgame.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we're seeing some of that now. I think and they have, obviously we like some of those guys. I think they have a lot of talent and a lot of potential going forward. But like you said, it's just the daily grind of college basketball and the intensity level you need to have every day, not only in the games but in practice.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the things, the speed, the strength of the game. I mean, those are the things that they can only learn by going through it. And like they always say, the best thing about freshmen is they become sophomores.
Yeah.
We're going to need to have them, be a contribute for us this year. We're going to be relying on a few of them heavily for sure. But it is a learning process for everybody, for not only them personally, but for the whole group. So, every day is a new adventure, and hopefully they're taking it that way, and another chance to get better and learn. And, until we really start, playing other teams and being in the, in the River States, which is a really competitive conference. We have some really good non-league games there. I think we're not going to have a great sense of what we have until they actually go through it, see how they perform under pressure.
That's the main thing I think that college athletes struggle with is like high school, it's just a sport. Like you're just playing it for fun. You get to college, it's a job. It's a full-time job. Practice, getting your study hours in, and then also play your games.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we do try to really emphasize the fact that it's a co-curricular activity, basketball or at college athletics here, especially here at Midway. I mean, we don't want to make it like a job. Sometimes it may seem that way because it's a lot of work, like you said. But nowadays, basketball and most sports has really become a 12-month year enterprise anyway. So it might be on a different level here in college, but I think guys have never been more prepared to do that as freshmen coming into any college. But you're right, it's just a whole different level of really it's focus and intensity and those sort of things. And the guys that adapt to that, it's not even the basketball part, adapt to the other stuff the quickest are usually the ones that make the quickest impact on the court.
Okay, going to your schedule, you are playing, we went through it, you're facing the top 3 teams from the Mid-South Conference, a very competitive league, one of the top in the Division I of the NAIA. We're obviously Division II. Just going through and looking at a couple different things. You open next week with Marion on the road in the Midway University Classic, and then your home opener November 2nd against Lindsey Wilson College at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Talk a little bit about, that's a familiar opponent. You saw them twice last year. They returned quite a few guys, and then they also brought in a bunch of new guys.
That's called bad scheduling on my part to open up with a good team like that. But no, we're excited. We've always said we had this approach last year, and I've always tried to have this approach as a head coach, is that as you want to play against the best teams, and if you're a player, you want to play against the best players and find out where you stand. And I think that's what we tried to do with the schedule. The conference, top to bottom, seems, we played a few of the teams last year, and it certainly seems, extremely competitive top to bottom. I mean, there's going to be no, which is true in most conferences, but there's no off nights, in the River States for sure. And like you said, Lindsey Wilson, Georgetown, who was all, 2 seconds away from being the national champion last year. Campbellsville, who was in the Final Four in Division I last year. IU East is in our league. They were in the Final Four in Division II. A couple of Division II opponents. Bellarmine, who's preseason number 1 in the country in Division II and one of the polls. So we're going to find out pretty quickly where we stand. I think again we're trying to challenge ourselves and get us set up for the conference. I mean, that's how particularly this first year we're going to be competitive, and we're going to have a chance to make an impact later in the year. I think after we've had a chance to gel a little bit and be together, and so. We're going to test ourselves early on, and hopefully it's going to pay off in January and February, and we're going to be a tough team and playing our best at that time, and that's kind of the idea of the schedule. But it may not be a whole lot of fun to go through early, but it will be, because if you're a competitor, that's what you want to do, and I think we're excited to do that.
You kind of touched on it. Talk a little bit more about the conference. It's broken up into 2 divisions with 12 teams. And 6 in each league. So talk a little bit about the conference and what division Midway is in along with the other teams.
Yep, so you're giving me a quiz now. I don't know, I'm still learning myself. So we're in the our half of the league. There's 7 teams in our half, because there's 13 total.
Oh, 13.
So it's ourselves, IU Kokomo, IU Southeast, Cincinnati Christian, Brescia, Asbury, and Alice Lloyd. So it's the 4 Kentucky schools, a couple in Indiana, and then Cincinnati Christian. So it's you know, it's definitely competitive. The other side is IU East. Like I said, went to the Final Four last year. Ohio Christian, who I understand returns a lot of really good players, had a really good year last year. West Virginia Tech, who's always usually pretty strong. The two schools in Pittsburgh, Carlo and Point Park. And I think I'm blanking on somebody. Rio Grande, who's always pretty strong. So, you know, like I said, there's certainly no off nights. You know, I think it'll be a good test. I know, you know, I'm still getting familiar with the landscape of Division II in the NAIA for sure. I know our league is very competitive. I know the Crossroads here in the area is very competitive. A couple of few conferences out west that are pretty good. So, you know, again, it's a larger division than Division I is, and it's I think, you know, we've played enough of the teams last year to know, we played 4 of the school, I think it was last year, to know that it's going to be, you know, really difficult to win, like in every conference. You know, it's going to be hard to win out there, and you're going to have to earn your wins, and other teams are going to have to earn their way beating us. And so again, but I think that's, you know, that's what you want. You don't want to go somewhere and roll over teams or vice versa. I think you want to be able to see, you know, see what kind of progress you've made. You can only do that by playing really good teams. So we got our hands full for sure, but we're definitely looking forward to the challenge.
It's like they say, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Good luck next Friday. Stay tuned to GoMidwayEagles.com for the latest updates and results for the Midway men's basketball team. You can also follow us on Twitter at GoMidwayEagles, and you can also catch us on Facebook, Go Midway Eagles as well. Thanks a lot for joining us, Coach.
Thanks.
Good luck for you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks.